This prison was built in 1875, and a lot of the prisoners actually had a hand in building the prison itself, and then they had to move into it after it was completed. This prison at the time had more amenities than most homes in Yuma, and a lot of the people in Yuma resented that. It had electricity, forced ventilation, sanitation, including 2 bathtubs and 3 showers, a library, 2,000 books, even a prison band. I loved looking at this old wagon. Everything still seemed pretty functional, and it looked like it probably weighed a ton. The little springy seats were hilarious. I bet that was a wild ride.
Daddy, this guy's talking.
Solitary in this cell.
Don't
First,
play.
I got thrown in the snake den because the assistant superintendent didn't think I was showing him the proper respect.
I was impressed by how heavy these doors were. It looked like half-inch material they were using for these bars or these slats. And then they had a long arm that stuck out to the side where the actual lock was, so the inmates couldn't actually reach them with their arms. So it sounds like these guys all pulled a cool hand Luke in one of the work parties that they had to go out on, and at the end of the day made a break for it. I guess Miguel, guy in the center there, took a bullet to the back and died, and the rest of them gave up. Quaint. Yeah, there's one of the criminals right there. The other one's walking around probably trying to look all inconspicuous and stuff. Yep. I like the big ring in the floor where they were probably shackled to their beds. I wonder if they were shackled to each other. That'd have been a miserable night. This was the infirmary where they patched them up, probably after brawls, and they had bed bug problems and lice, all kinds of other wonderful little things. You notice the big tube, the ventilation tube sticking out of the ceiling. A lot of these cells were carved out of solid rock. This is probably the original wood bed style that the place had when it opened, but they ended up going to the steel bunk beds due to bed bugs and termites eating everybody and everything apart. This wall here was covered in signatures, probably from like the 1930s and even before they locked everything up tight and made a museum out of it. This prison was in operation for 33 years and held over 3,000 inmates between 1876 and 1909. When the prison closed down due to overcrowding, the high school needed a place to go, so they moved in here for 4 years, I believe. The other school's sports teams heard about it and made fun of them and called them the Criminals, which stuck. They took it as their team name, which it still is to this day. There was a big water cistern that they ended up putting a big tower on top of that they could use as a lookout in the Second World War. They also have wedding venues and stuff here, which is kind of odd. They did a beautiful restoration of this Gatling gun, even though it's a machine of death. I thought it was pretty cool looking. This here's kind of a nasty little object. It sounds like they would do some practice drops the day before a hanging, and they would try and figure out the length of rope needed so they wouldn't either decapitate the prisoner or make the strangulation go on too long. They would drop the rope with some weights and sandbags and stuff to figure out what was the proper combination. This little gal right here, her name was Pearl Hart. She committed the last stagecoach robbery in Arizona with a guy by the name of Booth. Sounds like he got away, but she got caught and had 5 years in prison. Her and some of the other ladies were kind of trouble in prison because they were always sweet-talking the guards, and they would try and help them escape and stuff like that. But I guess when she got out of jail, she also was trying to do some acting and reenact the stagecoach robberies and got booed off the stage, so she wasn't much good at that either by the sounds of it. All the females in this prison were trying to charm the guards and get themselves let out, but once reality set in, they figured that they were guilty as charged and ended up serving their time. Here's the last of the notorious criminals that did hard time. These two ended up spending 30 days in the dark cell. This is a breakdown of the different demographics and ethnicities that came through here. About a third of them couldn't even read or write by the looks of it. It was definitely an interesting visit, going to the Yuma Territorial Prison. If you have a chance to stop in and see this museum, it's pretty awesome and a good place to come spend the day.